better or worse for you? Does it feel like you have more money? I didn't think so. Now ask yourself why. To me, it's pretty simple. Food prices. Look at the way things have gone up. Ground beef has gone up 6.8% month over month and 11.1% year over year. Butter is up 3.2% monthly and a stunning 27% over the last year. Coffee is up 6.5% for the month, 16% for the year. Potatoes, 3.6% and 7.1% for the year. Cotton prices are up 12% since February 24th. They reached a record on February 18th. Gas prices are still going up. Do you know last night when I met with you, I said that gas prices had gone up and how much in a week? I don't even remember now. Well, since we met last night, gas has gone up 7 cents. That's 17 cents in a week. So now what are we doing about it? Well, on gas, we've just been cheerleading the instability in the Middle East. And we're putting apparently all of our eggs in the green basket, the solar panels and the factories that are getting built right now with multi-million-dollar grants from you, the taxpayer, and then they're just closing shop. And then, of course, the Volt. We had to bail out GM because GM had a bright future with the Volt. Consumer Reports has just said the Volt doesn't make an awful lot of sense. It's going to be a tough sell to customers. Really, you think? We're not searching for new places to drill. And we're still not drilling in the places we were drilling, like the Gulf of Mexico. Now, how does that help us out in the long run? Does that sound like a long-term solution? It doesn't make any sense. And you know it, and I know it. Now, I thought about this weekend when I heard some reporter say, well, the dollar is still holding up, and the sterling, the pound. Really? Is it? It's doing really well compared to all the other currencies. Standing up against the pound. Well, let me show you how this works. I could show you how it works, you know, with the gold bricks here, but they're so darn heavy. No, they're actually not. But I don't really know. I couldn't make it work with gold. I speak the language of food and cupcakes, baked goods. Yeah, I grew up in a bakery. They smell so yummy. For health reasons, I'm now eating wheatgrass. Hello, cupcakes. I miss you. Do you miss me? Before World War II, everybody had their own cupcakes. The British had their own cupcakes. It's gold. Gold. My world, this is gold. Well, the cupcakes were all around the world. And the pound, or the sterling then, was backed by their cupcakes. Our dollar was backed by our cupcakes. Well, after World War II, we decided we wanted to hold all of the cupcakes ourselves, and we could tell the rest of the world that we would do that. Why? Oh, because it would make our dollar the gold standard. So they gave us, in England, they gave us 5 cupcakes, and we gave them 5 certificates good for 1 cupcake. Treasury bonds. And we said, thank you for your gold, and we will never eat the cupcakes. Yeah. Little did they know I was in charge of the cupcakes. And we started eating all of the cupcakes. We started spending. That's as close as I get to a cupcake. Let me suck my finger for a second. We started eating all the cupcakes and spending all the cupcakes. And then, in the 60s, we just started printing more cupcake certificates without baking anything new. Well, wait a minute. Hang on. What happens if I start handing out more certificates for cupcakes and I start giving them to everybody? Eventually, you're going to say, hey, I want those cupcakes. And you don't have any cupcakes left. You don't have enough to cover. So what happens? When they come for the cupcakes, we're going to have to start slicing all these cupcakes, and it devalues the value of this. Your certificate decreases in value. Ours does. The ones that we're holding, because, believe it or not, we're holding these stupid, they're called Treasury notes, they're called bonds, they're called Federal Reserve notes, otherwise known as the U.S. dollar. We hold them too. And as we start to devalue and print more of these, well, then they're not worth as much. But the same thing happens over in England and everyone else that took a cupcake certificate and held it instead of gold. So when you hear reports saying, hey, at least the dollar is going strong against whatever, of course, because everyone's dollar or their pound is going down. Because everybody's dealing with cupcakes from us. Now, these are the things that cost money. These are the things that people have to make and sell. They're hard goods. Some of them, oil, hard goods. You got to have it. Gold, copper. Now, how many cupcake certificates are going to buy wheat or gas or gold or cotton? That's how you should measure the health of our dollar. Measure it against commodities and hard assets, not other currencies, because that's a game. A cupcake game. Do it under these things. This is why we've seen food riots across the globe. India, Bolivia, Algeria, just for starters. And according to the USDA, 2011 will see a 3.5% increase in food prices. They say that food riots could even hit the U.S. as the dollar continues to devalue and oil costs more. Weather will kill off crops, they say. All of these things are a factor. But despite what the left's greatest hope is, that we can control the weather, we cannot. But we can control the printing of the certificates. We can control the eating or the spending of our cupcakes. If your income has gone up, but you still can't afford, or you're having a harder time even afford the stuff that you used to, what is causing that? Is it some big corporate crony? Is it some anti-union guy? Is it a governor? No. The answer isn't even the cupcake certificates. It's the people printing the certificates. Bernanke, Geithner, the Fed, the Treasury. And while you're being told the American dream is slipping away, it is. But you're not being told the truth on who's doing it. It's not the politicians that say we have to cut our budgets. It's the printing of money. The Wall Street Journal has reported that the central bank has a new policy. The Federal Reserve is causing turmoil abroad. Probably few of the protesters in the streets connect their economic travail to Washington, but central bankers do. They complain the U.S. is exporting inflation. Wall Street Journal. They conclude that food riots around the world are being caused by us, and it's true. The Fed and the Treasury. And if you don't investigate why your dollar isn't getting as much, buying as much, then the claims from the socialist and progressive who come in the name of saving the American dream are going to be listened to by you. Back in a minute. To decide what the American dream is. What is it? I believe it's the idea that anyone has the chance to make it in America. Not a guaranteed outcome. Everyone has the same opportunity to succeed and to try, based on your God-given abilities, and nobody's going to artificially handicap you. Well, the other is social justice. Take it from somebody else. I want to show you how it looks on an individual level. Business owner Aaron Kennedy. He wasn't always rich. He grew up in Illinois. He wasn't connected to any kind of big money. I mean, all he had was drive. When he was 8 years old, Kennedy sold greeting cards in the fall, and then in the spring, he'd get back on his bike and go door to door selling vegetable seed packets. He eventually had enough money to go to graduate school in Madison, Wisconsin. There's your first mistake. Several years later, he was working in New York City, and he was eating noodles from an Asian restaurant, and I can bet you which one it was, because I've eaten there. And it gave him a big idea. He shared it with his wife, and he scribbled the idea down on a napkin, and the idea for Noodles and Company was born. It wasn't easy to do this company. He had to scramble. He had to convince 24 friends and family members to invest in his idea. Imagine putting your name down on your friends and say, no, trust me on this. It's going to be a good risk. He took the risk, and so did his friends and family. If he didn't make it, he would have to lay people off, close them down, go bankrupt, and then he'd have to face his family and friends who had trusted him with their money. That's part of the American dream. Everyone has a chance. Well, one of his employees didn't see things quite the same way. He's successful now. But during the protests in Wisconsin, one of his employees showed up. He's a member of the International Socialist Organization, the ISO. Remember I told you about this yesterday? These are the people that got the permits for the Union Van Jones rally in Washington, D.C. I want to show you the protesters. This is last Saturday. These are the protesters last Saturday. Now, show the pictures of in front of the Wisconsin Capitol building today. Do you see this? You see the signs? I asked them to get one and blow it up for me. This is the International Socialist Union. Union members, this is, if you look right here, can you show this? Can you show this here? This is the, right here, the AFL-CIO. You tell me, is it a coincidence? Okay, now back to the noodle employee. He's a member of this. Watch what he said recently in Wisconsin.
There are two fundamental classes that are just a plain fact in society. You either work for someone else or you work for yourself. And most people work for someone else in a way that they aren't free. You don't really get to decide your work. For example, I work at Noodles, a restaurant, and basically it's a dictatorship there. We're told exactly what we're going to cook, how we're going to cook it, what time we're going to get there, and basically if they don't like what they're doing, they try to tell us what to do. If we don't listen, they get rid of us.
The nerve. Noodles makes them cook noodles how they want the noodles cooked. And he has to show up on time. This dope wasn't there when Kennedy made noodles a different way and he was losing money. If this kid thinks noodle is a dictatorship, he should try living in Iran for a while. What's wrong with his noodle? His solution? Listen to this one.
I try to convince my fellow employees that we should have a union at Noodles, so it's a source of power to start with. And then I think in terms of the bigger picture, when you look at revolutions, the way that you actually get rid of any sort of dictatorship is by having workers take control of the place where they work.
Yeah. A noodle union. And everybody is celebrating the youth that are rioting and are causing riots. That's the youth that's doing it. He couldn't possibly try to work his way up the ladder and maybe become a franchise owner. No, no, no. Or maybe gather his friends together and do what his boss did. No, the only way is to unionize. But if they could overthrow Noodles, what would that mean for the current owner of Noodles that took all the risk?
If the owner wanted to cooperate with us as an equal and provide his skills that he had, we would definitely cooperate with him. He'd have to abdicate his position as being an owner and controller of us, and he would have to recognize that we run Noodles together, and basically, if he doesn't want to cooperate with us, he's against us.
This is the mentality we're fighting. Aaron Kennedy risked everything he had, his friendships, his own money. And now he's viewed as an oppressor by this dope. If there is a God, he'll find himself in the unemployment line. This man is a job creator. That's what this country needs more of, not less of. People that know how to create jobs.